Welcome to the channel where the unexplainable meets the paranormal. Hi, I'm Cindy, and if you're a fan of scary stories with chilling twists and unexplainable mysteries, well, then you came to the right place. So don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to leave the lights on. There was a man named Joseph, and Joseph was a businessman. And one day for work, he had to go to Philadelphia. So he knows a lot of people in Philadelphia, so he just calls up his friends and he asks them if he could stay over at their house because he knows one friend has a really giant house and he knows the roommate, so he feels comfortable asking. So his friends say yes, of course he could stay. So when he goes to Philadelphia, he stays at the house and he sees all his old friends and they catch up and they have a great time. They have drinks, they eat a lot of food, they tell stories, but eventually it gets really late. So Joseph has to go to bed because he has an important day at the office the next day. So while he's trying to go to bed, he's tossing and turning, but this man cannot catch a break. He's just not tired, so he just stays up. And then it's around 3 in the morning when he hears a noise of a car. Like it's pulling up in the driveway. And he's surprised because nobody should be there. All his friends are asleep in the house, and they never mentioned any other people coming to the house. So he peers through the window to see who it is, and he sees a black car and it's filled with people. And the driver, he takes a good look at him, and something looks off about the driver has pale skin. It looks like his skin's falling off. He looks like a person that went through a tough time. Like he just didn't look right, and he had an eerie feeling in his stomach. So as he's seeing this driver, the driver recognizes that he's being looked at, and he makes eye contact with Joseph through the window, and he yells and he asks him,
Hey, there's room for one more. Do you want to get in?
and Joseph freaks out because he didn't even expect the driver to acknowledge him. So he instantly says, "No, no, thank you," and he goes to bed. And then he tells his roommates the next day to try to see if it was anybody they knew or what they thought about it. But the roommates all said, nope, nobody should have been here at this time. We don't know anybody that drives that kind of car, especially not one that has a messed up face like you're describing. So they tell him that he must have been dreaming, but Joseph knows he was not dreaming because he knows how vivid it felt. He knows they had a conversation and he couldn't even sleep that night. So he knows for a fact what happened was real. So he goes into the office and he has a full day of work, and he works at this skyscraper building. It's the typical ones that you see in movies, and it's a giant building. So he goes to work, and when he's at work, nothing exciting happens. It's just really busy. So when he finally gets off in the afternoon, he's just ready to go to his car and drive back to the house. So while he's there at work, he has to wait for an elevator because his car's all the way at the bottom. So while he's waiting for an elevator, it opens up and he sees that it's crowded. And then he makes eye contact with somebody, and he sees the same guy from the night before. Just that this time, his face isn't messed up. He looks like a regular guy. But he gets this bad feeling like something's wrong. He saw him the day before, and now he's seeing him in the elevator. Something's not right. He doesn't know what, but something is not good. So the guy says the same thing.
Hey, there's room for one more. Do you want to come in?
And Joseph knows that he should not get in. If it doesn't feel right, then it's probably not right. So he says, "No, thank you." And when he decides not to get into the elevator closes, they go down, and then he hears a scream. And then he hears a crash. And then everybody in the elevator passes away from the elevator crashing. So Joseph dodged a bullet. He was so lucky. It was either a premonition or I don't know what you want to call it, but he anticipated what was going to happen. So one day, a husband and his wife are taking a road trip. They're taking a road trip to visit his mom, which they do ever so often because they usually go to have dinner there. But this time, the only thing that was different was that they left the house a little later. The time got the best of them because they stayed packing a little longer. So by the time they were on the road, it was already nighttime. and they still had a long way to go, so they decided to stop at the town and look for a hotel, but they couldn't find any, and they were desperate. And then they saw this big house, so they decided to get off and ask if the person rented the house, if they had any spare rooms. So they knock on the door, and the person that answers is an old couple. It's an old man and an old lady. And they say that it's not a hotel, it's not an Airbnb, but they're really nice people, so they say that they'll take them in regardless for them to spend the night. So the couple offers them money because they are so thankful that these old couple is going to open up their home for them. But the old couple refuses. They just want to do it because of the kindness of their heart. So they let them in and they don't accept any payment. So while the couple is in the house, they really like the older people because they're so nice to them. They even made them tea, they made them cakes, and they were just chatting and having a good, wholesome time. But then it got late, so they went to bed. And when they woke up, it was pretty early, so they didn't even say goodbye to the couple. But they did walk to the front of the house, and they saw that there was a table kind of towards the door, and they decided that they were going to leave an envelope of money, because even though the older couple refused to take the money, they just thought it was the right thing to do, to leave them some money. So they go on with their day, they leave the house, and then they go to get breakfast. So they go to the next town over. And while they're having breakfast, they start chatting it up with the owner. And then the owner asks, "Oh, where did you stay at last night?" Because they were just saying that they were traveling and they unexpectedly decided to stay there, but they found a room. So when they tell them that they stayed at this house with this old couple that was so nice, and they told them exactly where, it's like, "Oh, it's here down the road, you make a right." And when the owner discovered what house they were talking about, he was gasped. He was in shock because he said there was no way that they stayed at that house, because the house and the two old people that they were describing belonged to a couple that passed away a while ago in a fire, because their house burned down and they passed away in that fire. So the couple obviously didn't know what to make of it. They didn't know if like the owner was just making like a prank out of it, or he was just kidding or what, but he looked serious. So they decided that they were going to investigate themselves. So after eating breakfast, they went all the way back to the house, and they saw that the house was no longer there. It was burned to a crisp. The house that they were sleeping at the night before was just pieces of burnt wood all over. Then when they were just looking at the rubble and they were just in shock about like what is happening, they're confused. They see among the ashes that there is a table. The table in which they remember leaving the envelope. The fact that that existed makes you know that it wasn't something that they imagined. They weren't crazy. It wasn't an illusion or something. The envelope signified that what they experienced was a paranormal sighting, because that was concrete evidence. So this is a crazy story. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and if you guys have a similar situation, anything spooky that's happened to you, let me know, because I love a good spooky story, and maybe I'll make a video about it. So drop the comment and don't forget to subscribe.